John chapter 19, verse 16. So the soldiers took charge of Jesus. Carrying his own cross, he went out to the place of the skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. Here they crucified him, and with him 2 others, one on each side, and Jesus in the middle. Pilate had a notice prepared and fastened to the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." Many of the Jews read this sign, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and the sign was written in Aramaic, Latin and Greek. The chief priests of the Jews protested to Pilate, "Do not write the King of the Jews, but that this man claimed to be the King of the Jews." Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." When the soldiers crucified Jesus, they took his clothes, dividing them into 4 shares, one for each of them, with the undergarment remaining. This garment was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. "Let's not tear it," they said to one another. "Let's decide by lot who will get it." This happened that the scripture might be fulfilled, which said, "They divided my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing." So this is what the soldiers did. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there, and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Dear woman, here is your son," and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. What a precious, tragic, and amazing passage of scripture, the centre of the Easter story, encapsulated in 4 short words in verse 18. Here they crucified him. We can only stand in wonder and draw from the words of the hymn, "Did e'er such love and sorrow meet?" This love and this sorrow is fully caught in these 4 simple words. Here they crucified him. Why did Jesus allow this? Why did his Father allow this? Jesus and all the people of his time were not strangers to crucifixion. Crucifixions were commonplace, and no Jewish citizen could avoid seeing those suffering and dying under this Roman punishment. When Jesus was still a child, aged about 10 or 11 years old, a person in the town of Sepphoris, the town where Mary was born, led a rebellion against Rome. This town was only 6 kilometres from Nazareth, where Jesus was growing up. The Roman reprisal was very severe. Sepphoris was totally destroyed, burnt to the ground. The smoke from the burning Sepphoris would have been visible in Jesus' town of Nazareth. 2,000 rebels were crucified on crosses, which were set in a line along the main road. Jesus would have been very, very aware of the suffering, the agony, and the pain of death by crucifixion. Despite this, Jesus was resolute. He would fulfill the promise of God and make a sacrifice for our atonement. In Luke chapter 9, it says that Jesus set his face to travel to Jerusalem. In setting his face, in declaring his resolution to travel the road set before him, Jesus deliberately and voluntarily took this path. And again, on the night before he died, Luke 22 tells us that Jesus prayed, "If it be possible, take this cup from me," and then immediately gave his own answer, "Not my will, but yours be done." So why? Why did Jesus do this? Our next song tells us why. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. As has been said by others before, it is love that brought Jesus to the cross and love that held him there. I've been thinking about these words throughout our preparation for Easter. Here they crucified him. There's certainly a message in this for how we should live. Paul said, I am crucified with Christ. I've heard that scripture many times in my Christian walk, and I sometimes still flinch when it is said. Am I crucified with Christ? Does the same love that took Jesus on the journey that he knew would involve suffering, sacrifice, and crucifixion live in me? When I pray, not my will, but yours be done, Lord, do I really, really mean it? The passage that I read earlier tells us that for the soldiers at the foot of the cross, this was just another day in the office. While 3 people are dying a painful, tortured death above them, the soldiers are at the foot of the cross and arguing about the sharing of Jesus' clothes. Are we like the soldiers? The love of God painted so plainly that his Son is dying on the cross right above them, that the turning point of history is occurring before their very eyes, and instead of looking up, they are looking down, worrying about getting their fair share, so taken up with the cares of their life that they are unable to see God, loving the world so much that right above them he is giving his Son. I know that too often I live more like the soldiers than the Apostle Paul. I get weighed down by the busyness and the cares of the world. I look down at the mundane rather than up to the wonder and the fullness that the King of Glory loves me enough to willingly, freely, resolutely die on the cross for me. And because of that sacrifice, I am crucified with Christ. This is not the unattainable goad that reminds me daily of my failures. No, the same love that took Jesus to the cross is the love that sees me, a child of God, crucified with Jesus, the work finished, not from what I do, but from Jesus dying for me. Here they crucified him. Why? For you and for me. How deep the Father's love for us. How vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turns his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. My sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything No gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an